The European Commission are calling for harmonized crypto regulations across Europe. And so in this video, we're going to look at why this regulatory convergence is crucial to prevent diverging national approaches and to create a more stable, secure market environment, which is essential, they are saying, for the growth and trust in the crypto sector. Today's episode is sponsored by Cake Wallet, where you can send, receive, and even exchange your crypto right from within the wallet. Cake Wallet is open source and non-custodial, so you control your own private keys. Available today on iOS, macOS, Android, and Linux. And StealthEX, a privacy-centric crypto exchange which enables you to make crypto-to-crypto exchanges anonymously. Good evening everybody, and a warm welcome again back to Enter Crypto with me, Chris Kenyon. Now in today's video we're going to be talking about Europe, in particular the European Commission. They've made some statements, or a lady that works for them has made some statements about crypto this week. So as always guys, let's jump straight into this article, see what she said, see what the EC's, the European Commission's stance is here, and then we'll comment after. So Europe needs to change the rules on crypto to ensure a harmonized approach across the continent. This is according to Helene Bussieres, the Deputy Head of Asset Management of the European Commission. Speaking at ETF Stream's ETF Ecosystem Unwrapped 2024, Bussieres, who is pictured, said that harmonization and convergence were essential to stop national regulators from taking diverging approaches to the asset class. Earlier this month, the European Securities and Markets Authority launched a review of the UCITS Eligible Assets Directive, potentially opening the door to allowing direct exposure to crypto in UCITS. We are working on going as far as responsible on changing the rules for crypto to introduce a more harmonised approach across the EU, she said. We know that some national competent authorities, or NCAs, take a relatively liberal approach compared to others that are a lot stricter. So what matters to us is harmonisation and convergence. German regulator BaFin allows UCITS funds to buy crypto exchange traded notes, or ETNs, on the Delta 1 exemption, a derivative that tracks the performance of the underlying asset. Meanwhile, the Spanish regulator, the Comisión Nacional del Mercado de Valores, also allows UCITS to have exposure to financial instruments with performance linked to crypto assets, provided they do not embed derivatives. The Central Bank of Ireland also has a cautious approach to crypto and does not allow indirect exposure to the asset class. ESMA's review of the Eligible Assets Directive will also assess structured and leveraged loans, AT1 bonds, commodities, Delta 1 instruments and ETNs. Bussieres added that UCITS feedback from the industry has been positive so far, and it does not want to rock the boat with too many changes. We are aware of diverging national practices regarding the eligibility of assets, and we believe it is super important to foster more convergence, she said. So it's quite interesting this. We've got the Deputy Head of Asset Management at the EC basically coming out and saying that she doesn't want, or basically that she wants to prevent national regulators for each individual country within the EU from adopting divergent stances on crypto. So she doesn't want one country, being really strict with it, and then another country being really lax and, relaxed about the regulations and rules around it. She's basically saying in this article that she wants everybody, or every country within the EU, to be on the same page. So while she's actually aiming at creating a more unified, I would say, regulatory environment, there can be quite a few negative impacts for crypto users in Europe, obviously. And also, before we go into more detail of what those negatives are, it's also going to depend on whether, it's okay having a harmonised approach like this and getting everybody, walking in step and in uniform, but is this going to be, is everybody going to be really strict, or is everybody going to be really relaxed, or is everybody going to be moderate? Who's going to decide on that? And we don't know that yet properly. And so one thing to be cautious of is that a more harmonized approach, it sounds lovely when she says it, anything to do with harmony is nice, but it can actually lead to stricter regulations, because if everybody's following the same page and they've decided that they're going to be strict, then everybody's going to be strict and there's going to be less questions asked, there's going to be less learning. This will mean, we'll have increased compliance requirements, more rigorous KYC and AML procedures. This will reduce your anonymity and invade your privacy basically, and it kind of takes away all the qualities that we're all here for with crypto. Why we're into crypto. We want to be self-sovereign. There's not much point in being in crypto if we've got to keep reporting and filling out questionnaires. We might as well just have a bank. If that's the case, it might as well just be. There's been no change from the old legacy system where they control everything. And crypto is about us, or the individual taking control. Now, sometimes when a country over-regulates, it can actually stifle innovation within a particular sector, or certainly when it comes to technology and things like that, and computer-related things. But I think crypto is too big now for even the EU to even affect, certainly on the innovation side, and it's also too attractive elsewhere. It'll move to the path of least resistance, as I always say in my videos. There'll be somewhere else to go. If the whole of Europe decides to come down hard on crypto will just start up in the UK, and if that's also difficult, then it'll be in the US, and if it's not the US, then it'll be Iceland or Dubai or Australia. There's always going to be somewhere attractive, because it's money. There's money involved, so there's always, whenever there's money involved, there's always incentives. So just because one country bans it, there's always going to be somebody on the other side. To ban crypto, you would need every single government to be, every single government in the world to be saying, let's ban this thing. And that's just not going to happen, because governments can't agree on, there's always somebody. If the US is saying one thing, then Russia's saying the opposite, or China, or South Africa, or India. There's always somebody saying the opposite to another government and thinks that they're in the wrong. So you'll never be able to get them to agree, and then agree indefinitely as well. To keep agreeing year after year is just not going to happen. But what it will do, if we do get strict rules across Europe, is it'll create higher barriers for new users and people that are just coming into crypto. Because if you're less tech savvy, or if you're less financially literate even, you'll find it harder, or you'll find it more difficult now all of a sudden to comply with complex regulatory requirements. What I think it will do, though, especially within Europe, is it will reduce the risk of what I call regulatory arbitrage. And because if you harmonise all the regulations over one massive, basically all these countries within Europe, then you'll basically minimise this risk of regulatory arbitrage, where companies kind of have one foot. They basically are in two jurisdictions, and they basically pick which rules to follow based on what is most advantageous for that company. And so so if they're in two countries and one has more lenient regulations, they'll kind of comply with them, and then on another day, if they need something else, they'll comply with the other one, and they can kind of manipulate it to which way they want it to go. Whereas this way, if they're operating, whether they're operating in Germany or whether they're operating in Portugal, it'll lead to a more equitable or fair sort of market environment for everybody there. So another thing it'll do, and you can decide whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, but if they do get this sort of harmonised approach, as she's calling it, it can sometimes lead to, or I think it may lead to, more options for users, in terms of it becoming integrated with the traditional financial systems. In crypto, this is not really a good thing, we wouldn't say, as usually, because we're trying to get away from all that, but just something that I think will happen is that you'll get more crypto-backed loans, they'll become more popular. Crypto-based financial products will start becoming more popular, I think, in Europe, and you'll get an easier exchange, or a more lubricated exchange between your fiat and your crypto, your on-ramps and your off-ramps. I may be completely wrong on that. It's just what I think what will probably happen. So that's the article for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any future updates. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.